Hello Harlem Lacrosse athletes. This is a video lesson to help you with the IXL work for assignment C2, the one that's called Add Integers Using Counters. I'm going to quickly, before we get into the first question, the first example, I'm going to go over a few notes from the previous video. This is again focused on our rules for addition or combining numbers when there are some negative numbers involved, and they're using this term integer to refer to both positive or negative whole numbers. So our big focus here is really the concept or the idea of what happens when I add negative numbers with positive numbers. And there are some nice rules that help us understand how to combine negative and positive numbers, or how to add negative and positive numbers. Whenever I think of addition really as combination. As I start to become older and I move towards positive and negative numbers, addition really means combining two different terms. Sometimes I'm going to add or combine two positive numbers. When that happens, they just combine together. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. They combine together to make a larger positive number. Sometimes I'm going to do addition or combination with two negative numbers. And that's almost the exact opposite of combining or adding two positives. When I have two negative numbers added up, they just get together and I have a whole bunch of negatives that are all together now. So if I had -3 and -5, they would combine together and I would now have 8 negative numbers. But when I have one of each, one positive number combined with a negative number, or sometimes they'll list the negative number first and the positive number second, either way, when I'm combining one of each kind, they kind of, we'll go ahead and highlight this, they fight against each other. They cancel each other out. And they ultimately, whoever has the bigger absolute value, whoever has more people in their group, they're going to win that fight. So here, for our first example, throughout this assignment, they're going to use counters, or these units that represent the negative or positives, to help us figure out how to add or combine these values. They want us, for the very first example, they want us to use counters to combine or to add up -4 with +4. And so they show us 4 negative counters in red and 4 positive counters here in gold or yellow. And each one of these is going to cancel each other out. Remember, when we have a positive and a negative, they fight against each other. And in this case, give me 1 second, we have exactly 4 of each. So each negative is going to cancel out a positive. There's going to be nothing left over. And so when they say which counters show the sum, we're not going to have any positive counters or any positive units left, because they were perfectly balanced or canceled out by a -1. This is ultimately going to give us 0, nothing. If I did -4 plus 4, it would equal 0, and that's what this problem is really showing us. Alright, for the next problem, and IXL is weird like this. They've just given us the same problem. They have +4, -4, each one's going to cancel each other out. So I'm going to go ahead and select an answer, and sometimes IXL is weird like that. Alright, here's our next example that we're given. It says use counters to add -4 plus -1. And they kind of show us, they say you start with -4 and then you add another red one, another -1. This is like combining two negative numbers here. And let me go ahead and get that out of the way. And when I'm combining a negative with a negative, they're just going to combine to make even more negatives. So here, if I have 4 negative counters and another -1, they're ultimately going to give me 5 of the negative counters. -4 plus -1 is just going to give us -5. So we'll show a few more examples, but this whole assignment is really building on these 3 basic rules for how do we add integers, or how do we add when there are both negative and positive whole numbers involved. This problem says use counters to add +7 plus +5, or they just call it 7 plus 5. So here you see 7 positive tickers or counters, 5 more positive ones, and they're just going to sum together or combine together to have a whole bunch, or a total of 12 of the positive yellow tickers. So here I'm going to have to count a bit. I see 7 of those, 5 more. I know 7 plus 5 is 12. So I'm looking 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This one has 12 of the ones. And if you count this one up, you'll see it's a little shy. It looks like 5 and 5 more is a total of 10. Here, almost the opposite. Now instead of combining or adding up two positive numbers, this example says use counters to add -5 plus another -5. So if I have -5 and I take another 5 more away, if I'm borrowing $5 and then I borrow another $5, I've borrowed a bunch of money. In total, I've borrowed 10 units or taken 10 away. So I need to find whoever has 10 red counters, and it turns out this first one is the one that has 10 of the negative red counters. One final example here. They say, what if we did +5 combined with or added with a -4? And like we've said on the third example, maybe the most complicated, when you combine one positive number with a negative, they fight, they cancel each other out. And in this case, we're going to see 4 negative counters. The -4 is going to cancel out 4 of the positive units, but we still have 1 of the positive units left over. So 5 plus -4 is really the same thing as 5 minus 4. It leaves us with +1. Hope that's been helpful. If you think you need additional help, you can always feel free to email me. As always, my email address is ddoherty3@bostonpublicschools.org. So again, if you need any help, ddoherty3@bostonpublicschools.org. Thanks for watching the end of the video. Thanks for working hard to continue growing your brain over the summer.